Hello everyone, welcome to Software Testing Zone. So recently one of our student got interviewed for Iris Software Solutions company, which is a really good company. Experience range was for 5 to 6 years, and the skill requirement was based on rest assured API testing mostly, as well Selenium and Java. So he shared the list of questions which were asked in the interview. So I thought of making a video on that, so it could be helpful for you also. So as usual, the interview started with like introduce about yourself. So it's really important that what should we mention while introducing ourselves. So you can start with like mentioning your educational qualification, and then you should talk about in which domain you have worked, like is it in banking, insurance or healthcare, like that. At the same time, you need to mention the skill set which you have used, okay, for maybe for your project or for your current role, which applications you are working on, which technologies you are using. Like for API you are using Postman as for manual testing, rest assured for automation, like that. For database we mostly use like Oracle, PostgreSQL or any other databases which we have, okay. Some more things like you can mention about your achievements, like what you have achieved, if you've been appreciated for anything. So those things you have to mention, and at the same time responsibilities as well. If you're confused that what should we really talk, so you can use ChatGPT to create the script, as simple as that. Like how can I introduce as a QA in an interview having, let us say, 5 to 6 years of experience with skills Java, Selenium. You have to mention all your skills, rest assured, manual testing, okay. Just enter and ChatGPT will create a script for you. Now you can use this script as a reference. Do not copy paste or say as it is. So you can develop your script accordingly. So this is a really nice tool to have or guide you for anything you want to do, right? So it's basically, so it's good. Let's move to our another question, which is very important, that on what basis or factor you will choose a framework. So if you are having an experience 4+ or 5+, industry wants you to create a framework from scratch. And whenever you are creating any framework from scratch, the first step is to selecting that which framework we will be using. Is it a data driven, is it a key driven, hybrid, BDD, robot? There are a number of frameworks we are having, okay. So they'll be asking that on what factors you will be choosing your framework. So there are multiple factors, some of which are ease of use. It should be easy to use. Scalability, the code should be scalable. If, like, for example, now you are having 100 test cases, and in future you are multiplying your test cases by twice number or thrice number, 200, 300, 400, then your framework should be able to manage the code. Then traceability, that it should be able to cover all the functional requirements. So we should achieve the maximum percentage of testing. The code should be maintainable. Maintainable is like whenever we are using POM model, right? So we are having our pages code in one package, then our test code in our another package. We are having configuration files, properties files. So we have a segregated tree in our project, right? So that's why these factors are very useful while designing a framework. We are having reusability, compatibility, minimum manual intervention, and dedicated team is again because that we need a person to handle that framework as well, right? So these are some of the things. If you want any details about these factors also, so you can use this resource which I have used to answer this question. Third question was like, when will you get 202, 203, 204 status codes in API testing? So 202 stands for accepted. So whenever you are processing any particular request, so the request has been accepted and processing, but processing has not been completed. So it's just initiated. For that you get 202 accepted. 200 series codes are for successful operation. Whatever you are doing, the operation has happened successfully, okay. 203 is non-authoritative information. It indicates that the server has successfully processed the request and has returned a response from a cache, okay. So it's not actually redirecting to the resource. resource, but it's like responding you through the cache memory. Then 204 is no content, indicates that the request has succeeded, but that the client doesn't need to navigate away from its current page. For example, we have buttons like submit, or proceed. Such type of buttons should respond you with 204 no content status code. Now the other question was, in which request you will get status code but no response. Status code but no response. So as we say, 204 could be an example. So it should be it could be any type of request, API request. It depends on how the developer has designed it. That does that request needs to return some response, or only status code it should return. So 204 request will be considered in this case. Can we declare constructor as a private? So yeah, constructor can be declared as a private, but the only thing is, once you declare constructor as a private, its scope will be limited to that particular class, and then you won't be able to create object of that class. Okay, we are not able to create an object of that class. This situation or this condition is also known as singleton design pattern, where we declare our constructor as a private. Next question was like, can hash map have multiple nulls? Okay, so hash map accepts one null key and multiple null values, but not multiple null keys. Hash map will be having in the combination of key and value pair, right? So one key it accepts and multiple null values it accepts. If we talk about hash table, it doesn't allow any null key or any null value. Okay, how can we have unique data in array list as it supports duplication? So yeah, these are some steps. Like we have a array list with elements, then we need to convert array list into string using string method. Apply distinct method. Distinct, what it does is it will segregate the data and it will only find the unique values, which can also be used in database listings. Then convert string back to an array list, and then the new array list will contain only the unique values. One more thing which we can do is simply you can convert the list into a set. So for example, let us say we are having a list of elements, this is our list, and we want to convert it into set. So list in set equals to set of, you just have to pass list here. So it's like list of elements. This way we can easily convert a list into set, and that set will only have unique values, because set doesn't allow you the duplication. Okay, so this is the way you can do. Or one more thing we can do is like we can have set of strings. It's like list, shouldn't be space, list in set equals to hash or new hash set, and we have to pass our list of elements. This is another way where you can convert a list into a set. This is also a question, like how can we convert a list into a set? Okay, so this way we can do. Now another question was like, if your bearer token is valid for 10 seconds only, and you have to test like 100 test cases or more than 100 test cases, how will you handle it? Now this is a very common scenario, because whenever you are doing API testing, so we need to pass authorization token. Now there are two types of token. One is static token, another one is dynamic token. So static token doesn't have any time limitation, but dynamic tokens are limited for a certain amount of time, like for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, like that, according to our company requirement. So if you have to automate the APIs, you have to pass the token, and there are number of test cases which we have to handle, number of API calls you have to make. How will you handle it? So some things which we need to understand is like we can prioritize our test cases, that which are the critical test cases which we need to execute. Second thing is the parallel execution is the best option. So you can execute test cases parallelly, so it will reduce the amount of execution time, and the token can be used for multiple test cases. Third thing is you can have a token management in your framework, like you can have a specific code where the token is getting regenerated after every 10 seconds and it is then passed as a parameter in the API request. Okay, this is also we can say it as automated token handling. So whenever we are generating a token, we need a post call which will generate a token. Okay, now this token which comes in your response, you need to store this as a string, and then that string could be passed to the API request which we are automating these 100 test cases. So this way we can handle this scenario. Another question was, where does the object get saved? So whenever we are having a non-static element, we need to create object for that. So the question was that in JVM, Java Virtual Machine Memory Management System, in which memory this gets saved. So we are having heap area or heap memory where this all objects will be stored, as simple as that. Then what are different types of authentication? So we are having like API key, bearer token, basic authentication, digest authentication, OAuth 1.0 and OAuth 2.0. Mostly we use bearer token or basic authorization. In basic authorization we use our username and password, and for bearer token we use a token generated by a post call. Then another question was, what is the operation behind generating bearer token? What are different type of headers, or how this things goes? So guys, bearer token is will be generated using your post call. Okay, and what bearer token says is that give access to the bearer of this token. So whoever has that token, you can use that particular API. The bearer token is cryptic string usually generated by the server in a response to a login request. The client must send this token to authorization header when making request to protected resources. Okay, so this is the answer you can tell. Now another question was, while declaring string using two ways. Okay, so we are having a string literal and we are having a string with new keyword. These are the two ways with which we can declare a string. So how memory will get allotted? Okay, so in our heap memory we are having a string constant pool area. Okay, so whenever you are declaring string with literals, so it will direct the object to same location. So every time you are declaring same string, okay, the variable will get directed to that particular location. It will not create another memory location. Okay, now whenever you are declaring a string with new keyword, every time you are using new keyword, so it will create another hello, or it will allot another memory for that string. Okay, every time you declare a string with new keyword. So this way the memory will get allocated into string constant pool area. Now the next question was, how you use Docker, Kubernetes, Gradle, IntelliJ? Have you used? So sometimes whenever we are going for an interview, we need to check JD for that, job description, and what are the skill sets are required. So if there are any skill sets which you have not yet used, it's good to have a basic knowledge about it. Okay, so before going to that particular interview, you should read a little about those technologies, those skills, and you can say that I haven't used it in my project yet, but I have a basic knowledge about this technology, that for what purpose these skills can be used, and you can talk a little bit about it. This will really helps to have a good impression. Then we are having what is deserialization. Okay, so let us say we are having a JSON. Let's go to ChatGPT. We'll create one JSON. Okay, so create a JSON payload having details of books as book title, book price, then book title, book price. Again, what we can mention here, book title, book price, author name, and launch date. Okay, let's enter. Let's see if ChatGPT can generate a JSON. Okay, so we are having this JSON here, right? Now if we are having any complex JSON is, now this is the only object which we are having, right? Now we can have a JSON with a complex structure where we are having multiple objects. Okay, let's try that. Control C. create a complex JSON having, let us say, 3 array of. Now we will create a complex JSON. Let's say ChatGPT can do that. So yeah, it's able to do. So for example, this is your JSON, then all the things which are available in this curly braces are considered as an object. Okay, and if you want to validate the validate data in this curly braces, then we cannot do it directly. So we need to deserialize it. Deserialize means dividing it into the each object. So there is a very detailed process where we need to like convert this into Pojo classes, and then we can do the schema validation as well as data validation. But in a short note, what a deserialization means, that dividing this this complete structure into the individual objects and then validate it or verify it. Okay, this is the process of deserialization. Now another question was like, what is the difference between microservices and monolithic services? Okay, so if you talk about an example, like when Netflix was launched, right? So earlier they were using monolithic services. So there was only one services like video streaming. It has movies, it has web series, it has documentaries, it has like everything. Okay, in only single service or a single functional flow, which was a combination of multiple services, right? So that approach or those services were known as monolithic services, which were very complex also. It used to get load, you know. So then the introduction of microservice was done by the Netflix only, where you know each service, like for web services they are having one particular service, for movies they are having multiple like individual service, for live events or anything like that. For sports they had another service kind of. So when we have divided a single service into bunch of services, we called it as a microservices. Okay, and if we are using a single flow where all the things are there, then that services are called as a monolithic services. So monolithics is a past now. The current we are dealing with is a microservices. Okay, you can again read a little about it on the internet if you want to, you know, have more information. Well, last but not the least is what is meant by typecast. Okay, so we are having a casting concept in our Java, where what we do is we convert one type of data into another type of data. For example, it can convert from byte to short, short to char, char to int, long, float, and double, like that, and double to float. So this is called as a narrowing, where the large data form is getting converted into smaller data forms, and widening casting means a smaller data forms are converted into the large data forms. Okay, these are having very simple formats also available in our Java, so you can check that out. So yeah, these were the questions which were asked in the interview. He was not asked to write down any code, lucky for him, but we should also prepare with the coding practices. Like you should be able to do coding related to strings, reverse a string, how to validate if the string is palindrome, how to find out the largest word in a string or array of strings. Those things, how can we find out occurrence of any particular character, how can we find out what are the duplicate characters, or how can we, like, one more question which I could relate is like, if we are having a string, then we need to trim first character and last character, and the remaining string you have to reverse it. That was again a question asked. So this type of questions are we should be prepared about. If you are having more than 3+ years of experience, then it is expected that you should have some basic knowledge about the Java, and you could be able to apply some logic if the task is given. So yeah, that's all about it. I hope this video is helpful for you, and it will help you to prepare for your upcoming interviews. If you like the video, do share it, and do subscribe it, because 50% of the people who are watching my videos are non-subscribers. So it will be really helpful if you subscribe it, and if you like it, you can share this with your friends. Okay, thank you very much guys. Have a great day.